You can see their history with the amount of poles they've had, and particularly Lewis here. So yeah, it was a big lap. We left a little bit on the table. Max had a snap at 13, but you know, second on the grid, front row is still very good.
I think Lewis actually left a bit on the road there as well. He had a similar slap in the last two, so maybe it's not too dissimilar. What do you think for tomorrow then? You're probably going to have more race pace, I still assume. So you still have the best of chances?
I think that track position, you know, here's a little like Monaco without the barriers. That once you have track position, it's very hard to overtake here. So then it comes down to strategy, and yeah, hopefully I think we've got better race pace than we tend to have quali pace. But it's going to come down to the start, and you know, we know there's a bit of history between those two. So as long as they make it through the first couple of turns, then we'll have a good motor race.
We'll be excited to watch that, as everyone else. The update, I asked Max about the update. You brought it here this weekend, and presumably maybe have lost a little ground on Delta to everyone else. Do you feel confident about it? Do you think it's worked the way you expected?
I think that you know, it's still early days. The numbers are coming through as we expected. It's a very different type of circuit here. I think you've got to look at things over maybe 2 or 3 different venues. You know, go from here to the long corners and long straights of Spa next weekend. So I think it's going to take a couple of races just to absolutely bottom things out. But yeah, you know, I think Max wasn't that happy with the car. You could hear he wasn't getting from the car what he wanted in quali. But it's going to be another 10 degrees hotter tomorrow, and that's going to play, you know, havoc again with the car balances in the race.
What was that due to then? Why couldn't he find the grip that was necessary, do you think, so far this weekend, Christian? Was it anything to do with this reconstituted qualifying format? Is that anything that the time that you had to put the work in terms of prep?
I don't think so. I think, look, everybody had the same amount of track time. We all lost P1 effectively with the rain, but yeah, he's not found a sweet spot. You could feel that he was fighting the car a little bit, you know, today, and you know, he was much more settled in the long runs that we did earlier today. So, you know, hopefully that bodes well for the race tomorrow, but you know, we'll see. Tomorrow's another day.
One more thing, have to ask about Sergio, obviously. Yeah? I mean,
yeah.
Only P9 once again, more than almost 4.5 tenths down max. What are your thoughts there? Did you see him still struggling out there? What was his comments like?
Well, I think that, look, I mean, that's his first time he's been in Q3 since Miami. So I think for him that was, you know, important to get there. I'm sure he's not going to be happy being P9, but it's quite a weird grid. I mean, we've got the Alphas in there, we've got other cars that have moved around a bit, so it's a bit mixed up. But look, he's going to race well tomorrow. We just need to make sure we can give him a good strategy.
We got to ask you about.
Oh, go ahead.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah.
I mean, first time here. Martin was saying he can have one race off, but from next race on, he has to start beating Tsunoda, so he put the pressure on. But he delivered awesomely today, didn't he?
Well, he's done a great job, and I think getting into what arguably is, you know, they're the team that's 10th in the championship at the moment. But I think getting into a very foreign environment, 7 months out of the seat, basically. I thought that was a very solid, you know, mature performance from him today, and I think the team will really benefit from his experience and knowledge, and you can see he's enjoying it, which is the most important thing, because a Daniel that's enjoying driving, you're going to get more from him.
I feel like we spend a lot of time asking about all the drivers and everyone else, but how are you doing? I mean, you come and you show up and you do these interviews all the time, especially even when things are tough. Like, is this a lot going on? How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. But thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, for us, we're in an incredible period for the team. I mean, to have won 11 races in succession, to have matched, you know, McLaren since 1988. It's been an incredible run for us so far, and there's a determination to keep that, you know, to keep that rolling. And
it's a high standard.
It is a high standard, but the team's operating at such a high level, and you know, it's testimony not to just what you see here trackside. It's all the hours and the effort that goes in behind the scenes, all the unsung heroes that are, you know, working so hard in the factory in Milton Keynes, that, you know, they're the reason that this is happening. And you know, there's great pride certainly in everything that we're doing.
Christian, I want to come back to Daniel Ricciardo, but just as you're on that subject, comparing it potentially to the MP44, you've got that opportunity tomorrow for the RB19 to equal that record within a season in terms of 11 consecutive race wins. How much of a motivation is that to be talked about, the RB19, in the same breath as that car, the car that belonged to Senna and Prost?
Look, it's quite incredible. If you'd have said starting the year that we'd be be here with 10 consecutive race wins in the season, 11 since Abu Dhabi. It's unimaginable. It's particularly when you think of the quality of the teams that we're racing against. So it's something that we're very proud of, and obviously we want to keep it running.
Okay, and last one on Daniel. There's been a lot of talk about how it all came about. Some were saying it was Dr. Marco's decision. Was it collective? Why was the decision taken? So, I mean, a lot of people said it was potentially harsh on Nyck DeVries. Please just clear it up for everybody at home.
Look, these things just don't happen with a phone call. So, we talked. It was obvious that Nyck was struggling. He wasn't hitting the targets, and you have to understand that those drivers we're looking at with an eye for Red Bull Racing. And it was clear that it was Nyck wasn't going to be an appealing driver to us longer term. So we discussed it. I discussed it with Daniel before the test and said, would you be up for getting in the AlphaTauri if the test goes well? He got in the car at Silverstone. He was up for that challenge. And by the 11th lap, he'd done a lap time that would have put him on the front row at the British Grand Prix.
Was the decision made that fast?
So it was clear to me that he was back, and then of course, there's a discussion internally. AlphaTauri were very keen to take him. Obviously, a discussion inside as well, and then obviously, Helmut was keen to make the phone call to Nyck.
Okay, thanks, Christian. Thanks for clearing that up.
Okay.
Best of luck tomorrow. We look
Thank
forward
you.
to that mouth.